Well, hello everyone. This is Feroshia Knight from Coach Training World, and I'm sitting here with the fabulous Darryl Cortello. And we're going to talk about what we would call probably the impossible dream. And a little bit about Darryl. I'm going to actually have him really go into detail about who he is and his magnificent accomplishments and his fun life down in New Orleans. But he is one of those people that had a dream, like many of us, to do something that doesn't always seem like the right choice or the most practical thing. And that's actually to open up a restaurant. And so he is an accomplished, I guess, restaurateur, is that how you would call it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Who has opened up, ran a successful family-run business for years, left the business, went on to help other larger companies in the same industry, and is, rumor has that he's going to be opening up another one. And why he's here today is to really help you come up with strategies and some techniques and some ways to think about your own impossible dream, whether it be a restaurant or something else that you're envisioning as a business. So he's a massive asset to those that really want to get the trust and also the strategy to live your dreams. So Darryl, what I would love to know is, when you opened your first restaurant, what was driving that decision? What was kind of the excitement behind it, motivation? And when was it? How many years ago?
Geez, that was 30 years ago almost. And my
You're
father,
an expert.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's right, I am. My father always worked, did well, grew up, in a little place in New Orleans called the Irish Channel, although we're an Italian family. And came from pretty much nothing, and did his schooling and worked his way up in business here and there, and did well, but wanted to be in business for himself. And that rubbed off on me as a young person. And right when I was about finishing college, he said, "What do you think about going into the restaurant business?" So, let's do it, yeah. And we did. And he was in insurance. I'm just getting out of college, and we had an opportunity at a restaurant that he did some insurance business with, and we just ended up being the ones they chose to give him the opportunity to buy, and we did, and it was a wonderful thing, great at uptown New Orleans, and just met a lot of local people, a lot of celebrities over time, a lot of Mardi Gras fun, and really just a part of the culture, which is such a great part of this city.
So I'm curious, when you had your restaurant, what were some of the key learnings, just the day-to-day part of it? Because, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's so exciting. And then there's, how do you actually make the business successful?
Well, that's one piece of advice, as you say that, about people thinking it's so exciting. And there's a lot of excitement in it. When you go into the restaurant business, people tend to think, and any business you go into, you want to think about all the good stuff and how successful it's going to be. And people in the restaurant business, I find, I can see it in their eyes. I see the dining room full on Friday and Saturday night. They see themselves shaking hands and get my friend a drink and send an appetizer to my family over here. And so they picture the place full, everything going perfectly, just like in the movies. And when you get into it and there's a dishwasher that's not there, you're going to wash the dishes, because if not, nobody else is. And you have those sort of things. And then the bathroom overflows when you're packed one night. And all these sort of things people don't think about. So you don't want to go in thinking negatively, and we didn't. We just went in thinking positively, and we're going to be successful. And it was a restaurant that did pretty good business already, and the tenant and landlord relationship, was kind of ending. So anyway, that's where our opportunity came. But you really have to go in there prepared to work, and we did. And I was finishing college, and my father was there 16 hours a day. And then when I was done, and I did the same thing. It's very demanding, but if you really believe in something and you want to do that, it sounds cliche, but that's really how it is.
Yeah. Well, and as you've described it in the past, it really felt like it was also very fulfilling. Yeah. You got to be owner of your own ship, and you got to exercise a lot of your skills with being really a relationship-oriented person, a communicator, and a leader.
Yeah, it was wonderful in that way. You're working with and communicating with maybe, 300 people a day, sometimes 1,000 on these crazy big days. You go through that many people, and you touch that many people, and almost every one of them, because we sat 100 people, a little over 100, in a big 35-foot long bar, and in a bar room with it. and you're pretty confined. So you're seeing these people and developing little relationships, if you haven't already, with some of your regulars, with people who are maybe people from out of town or coming in for the holidays, Jazz Fest, Mardi Gras, what have you. So that's very fulfilling. I think communication is, in that positive sense, is so healthy. You know, I used to tell our employees, you know, you're in a business where the part of the day where people come to see you is the best part of their day. They might have a tough job. People have bad days. And what do they look forward to when they're working? Lunch. It's a break in the day, my work day. I get to go with my colleagues and enjoy conversation, and I get to eat and relax for a little bit. Well, you're part of that. So, you know, you have to understand and take that very seriously. And also, you can enjoy it because it's the happy part of the day. You're not in customer service at a department store where they come in throwing clothes at you that didn't fit and they hate. They're coming to be happy. And how fortunate are you to be amongst that? You know, so that's the kind of communication that I found really rewarding in the restaurant business.
Well, and I love what you shared, because am I doing a little bit of reverb here?
Pardon?
Is it? I'm having a little bit of feedback. I'm just checking in if you're hearing it as well.
No.
Oh, okay. Welcome to Google Hangouts. What I love that you're saying is people are coming for food, to celebrate, to be happy, to be joyful, to relax, to be in a positive environment. And what a great way to invite your own employees to recognize, you know, that they're a big part of this, as opposed to telling them, do this, do that, you know, all the technical or tactical things that I've experienced when I was a waitress years and years ago, many years ago. So what a wonderful reframe, you know, and bringing it to that positive light. So when you think about that impossible dream now, because you've talked about, you know, the possibility of opening another restaurant, and it's hot on the platter as one of the considerations.
Yeah.
What's driving that?
Well, I've been out of private ownership for about 2 years, over 2 years, and maybe 2.5. And I really enjoyed the beginning of that because I think I just needed the break. I almost didn't realize it. Now, that happened, and it wasn't all by choice. It was a few things happened in business, and we sold one restaurant, and the other one we were having some issues with when the landlord and, you know, your lease and so forth, and those things happen in business. And usually, you know, we can come together on that, and we didn't. And then after we sold our other restaurant, my wife was diagnosed with cancer 5 days later. So I went from, this is in 2012 in the fall, from being, you know, a partner in two really good neighborhood restaurants that did well and a nice normal family life, to 3 months later, no job and a wife going through chemotherapy. So it's really, like I said, not all by choice, but I guess by design, by higher power. And so the way I guess I've come back to it is I'm thinking, what is this doing for me personally, and how fulfilling is it to do what I do now, working for a corporate restaurant? And it's more and more, I feel more robotic. It's a great company. It's a great franchisee we're part of. They're great people. I think I've been able to do it for a couple of years because of the good people. And I know that this is not what I want, because I'm surrounded by everything good about a particular corporate restaurant. If I were going to choose to be in the corporate restaurant industry, I would stay right here. But I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling I'm feeling the urgency to really move on, and I'm ready to move on. I really am. Yeah, so that's what's driving me back to something I thought, okay, well, that part of my life is done, and we'll move on. And it's not just back to private ownership. It's helping people, as we just talked about, you know, and my love for coaching, and my true purpose in life is to help people. Again, cliche that may sound, that's the answer I had when that person asked me that, you know, years ago and a couple of years ago, and I just came out with, wow, that's really it. So it's all sort of meshing, and I'm not really sure where it's going to end up and how, but I feel good about the direction that I'm going in, and I'm really, really motivated to move on it.
Well, and what I love is often coaches will have had an experience, and then they go and coach on that experience, and they're very valuable. And what I'm hearing you're doing is you're going to go back into the restaurant industry and walk your talk day to day. And that's also going to, in my mind, position you to be even more fabulous for your clients, because you'll be in the industry constantly abreast to what's happening, the trends, the marketing with all this digital blah, 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 and being able to help them as they launch their, businesses, whether it's in the restaurant industry or other, because you're going to be in the trenches. So you're going to be, what I would say, road tested in the present moment, not just historically.
Exactly.
I love it.
Right. And I've been in it in a very different way for the last couple of years in the corporate side of it. That's one thing I didn't have. And it's fun to compare what I was doing compared to what corporate does. And I was really on with most of the things. You just don't have the resources as a private owner to do what all this money can do. So you have to get creative and do it other ways. But that I have to offer my corporate experience, as well, of course, my 25 years of independent experience, and then back into it. And I will have a lot to offer, a lot of knowledge I've gained, and a real desire to pass it on, however it might help somebody.
So you caught my attention there. So what's something you had to do to get creative? And with your business, with your own restaurant?
Oh, gee whiz.
Which day was it?
Right, yeah. It's a question I've asked myself, because there's a scary excitement about going back into it. We were really successful before, and we've opened them and we've closed them too. We've had restaurants. That's business. You open, you might be a year and a half. This isn't working. Shut it down. We'll do it again. And we've had some we've kept, some we've closed, some we sold, and that's all good. You have to take the chance. You have to take a risk. But now there's a little more on the table. Now it's a 15 and an 11-year-old, family to support. Mm-hmm. It's the need to personally be successful with this. Failure is always a possibility, but I just can't. I won't let that happen. So I say, and I really feel like I want to put so much into action that's going to make this, at least give it the best chance to succeed. And it's so many things that I'm thinking of that I want to do, but you can't do everything. So you really have to fine tune that and whittle it down to, what's the most efficient and smartest plan to go into this with. And based on where your location is, I'm looking at a few locations right now, with the markets like in the area, with the trends, what's going on with the trends, your competition, and it's just, there's a lot, and it's really fun. But when you go to put that money down, you better be ready. And that's where I'm trying to get myself right now, really feeling like once I put that money down, I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what I'm hearing is a really solid strategy, so that in this instance, right now, being creative is actually being conscious.
Yeah.
Making wise decisions, leveraging all the knowledge, and being able to put it all together so that you are making a wise choice, because now you've got a family that's older and more, we know what that means, more money, more time. It was a little different, yep.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point you make. And getting creative is not just creative necessarily with dishes or with menus, or it's a creative strategy, in its entirety. And that's a really good perspective, because I looked at it, a couple of places I'm looking at. There's units, one is units upstairs that are apartments. That's a good way to lessen your risk, where you can, if you can work your deal right, and you can virtually make your rent half or even less of what maybe it would normally be, because you have an income generating property. So that's one of the things I'm really looking to do. I don't want to lease. I'd like to buy property at this point. There's another one that has 2 apartments above it, and it's a really nice property. It's got a warehouse sort of removed to the back of the property, which he rents to another business. So to lessen my risk, I'm looking at income generating properties already, aside of the income I'm going to generate in the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. So really a smart location that has a built-in audience.
Yep.
Nestled in a neighborhood, or nestled like in the apartment or lofts. And then also being able to own the property, so you're investing in the restaurant on 2 levels.
Exactly, right. And building equity is something I'd like to do now. When my wife was going through chemotherapy, I wasn't working. I chose not to work. We chose for me not to work because she needed me. She was virtually incapacitated. It was very harsh, but it was the best thing medically to do. So we chose to do it. Well, you go through all your money. That's, your retirement, whatever you have. And you dig up things. I said, well, I didn't know we had this policy. Traded it in, and we went through all that. And, but it didn't matter because it wasn't what was important. Find ways to make money again. What's important is let's get, one, Ellen healthy. Two, somebody has to be an emotional monitor for the kids. Somebody has to be there for them. And so I had to be there for Ellen physically and to help her get around. Some days she would come up, put makeup on, go right back to bed. But always made it a point to do that. So really good, positive things going on there and good inspiration. But she could not physically take care of the kids. So that was my job. That was the school, the soccer, the dancing, back and forth. And nothing else really mattered but that at that time. So, now it's time to build up again. And that's, part of the motivation now too is, okay, let's get financially going again. Here we go. It's been a couple of years. All the scans been great. Yeah, by the way, she's wonderfully healthy now. We couldn't have asked for any better results up to this point. And so now it's, okay, what are we going to do? Here's the rest of our lives. Where are we going from here? And that's a lot of motivation too. Let's get on this horse and go,
Yeah. Well, what I'm enjoying is, you got to be super husband, super dad. You got, because of the way you set yourself, you were able to make as a family a choice to be able to be there for each other. And now that, I guess the storm has passed, you're now in a position to really start rebuilding, and you're almost on a mission, and it feels like even more fueled up than before. Yeah.
And that's a funny thing about getting back into the business. I really never thought about it. At first I was so adverse to the business entirely. I mean, that I've talked about that in the past. And it just came back to, what are you good at? What all the life coach questions, I see a life coach, right? Just the right questions, and it got to the point where I just realized, man, go back and do what you know how to do. Not just, like I said, it's not just a logical decision. It really somehow it just hit me to say, I'm motivated to do this. I'm ready to do this, and that's why I'm moving in that direction. And look, if something else popped up right now that looked appetizing and something I'd really love to do, I may choose to do that too. But I am motivated to move in a direction of just creating a better life for my family, financially, but not only financially. I use the term, I have to weigh a lot of times between feeding my family and feeding my soul. And you really have to balance that. Of course, my family will always come first, but if I feed my soul, my family's better off. So that's what I'm not giving up on either one. That's what I have to do. So I have to feed my soul to feed my family, not just physically, but also give them the best of me. And all that plays into this process that I'm right in the middle of right now.
Well, I'm kind of stymied from here. I mean, knowing what I know and watching you go through your process in the training and listening to you, and also feeling a little bit guilty because I was like, you really need to coach people on opening up businesses and running businesses. And I remember you kind of going, because you were in that place where you were still, there was a big change. So there's a part of me that's like, yahoo! We're not supposed to do that as coaches, not have agendas for our friends and people. But you bring so much to the table in terms of really not only thriving, but also surviving and staying positive the whole way and staying real to what is, but also just deeply putting yourself out there in the best way possible.
Yeah, and you have, without risk, there's no reward. And that's, again, and I hate to say so many things out of cliche, but I tell people, you know why that's a cliche? Because it's proven to be true, really seriously. I mean, cliches aren't just, silly little things. Something happened behind that thing to be called a cliche, and it's probably something substantial over the years, But that's kind of how it is. It's just, if you don't take risk. My wife had a Facebook message, and she said, wow, look at this. This maybe last week or the week before, and it said, what if I fail? And the other voice comes in and says, my dear, what if you fly? I told Ellen, do you see what I'm talking about? That's what I'm saying. She goes, you're right, you're right, you're right. You know, and you've got to take risks, you know, calculated, but take some risks. You know, don't live in the gray, Teddy Roosevelt calls, you know.
Yeah.
Here or here, don't live in the gray, you know, because when, you know, if I'm ever on my deathbed and I can think back, I want to at least say, man, I tried. If I failed 100 times, I tried. And that's the scariest thing to me is not change. The scariest thing to me is staying the same. For me personally, I can't do it. I can't. Not if I'm not content, you know.
And I think even if you were content, you would up level.
Yeah, right.
I was going to say, I don't think so. There's always that little edge.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to work with you as a coach, what do you feel they need to know about you that would help them to make that decision?
And me as the coach?
You as the coach.
My motivation for coaching is I see so many people who don't know how good they are inside. And I want to make damn sure that whoever I coach, before anything, professionally, personally, athletically, all the things we can coach on, nutritionally, whatever it is, I want them first to know that there's a whole bunch of good in there. Let's get that out first. Let's see how good, if you know how good you are. Not at something, but because you're that good. You're just a good person. And I think so many people miss that. So many people don't understand what a good person that they really are. And some sad stories have you know, come from that. And some people have found out how good they are on the other side of it, you know, and they understand, you know, happiness, and they're just good. People are good people. And I think a lot of people in our culture, they let themselves get sucked in, and we all do, you know, the guy next door, the car here, the house there, and we all want financial freedom, but you really have to be disciplined to not let yourself be defined that way. You know, if you're a good person, you know, you're good whether you're standing next to a dollar on the ground or whether you're standing next to $1 billion. You know, that's who you are. And so get in touch with yourself and trust yourself, and let's find all the good, and then we'll move forward. If it's the restaurant business, I've got a whole bunch of that I can get with you on, you know, and whatever it is, you know, we'll get there. But that's my motivation if I'm a coach before anything.
Yeah. You know, what I'm hearing is really helping someone to see themselves as whole, to see that they are worthy, they are enough, and to come from that place of deep personal empowerment, you know, knowing that they are good enough. So anytime they go out towards that dream, they're bringing their best in that deep place of self-confidence. You know,
and exactly. And if you have that confidence, then you're okay when you fail. Because you're okay. You're okay. You feel good because you've tried, you know. It's the process, you know, and sometimes I'll speak to little groups, and I make sure that the pinnacle of the message I'm getting to them is about living in the present, and you've got to take a little bit of risk. If you live in the past, there's no risk, but you don't grow. There's no growth, you know, and if you want to grow, you have to take some risk. Don't bank everything on the future either, you know. I don't know what's going to happen in 30 seconds. Am I going to bank my happiness in the future? You know, plan your time with people and all the good things. And if they happen, fine. If they don't, fine. You know, but what about the present? Live each moment for the moment. And just, if you can do that every moment, then that's happiness, because you live in the moment, whatever it is. So, you know, take some risks to grow, and just realize that what you have here and now is good, you know. That's what we have to do.
Yeah. I just had a picture in my head of you with a online TV cooking show that's cooking and self-growth. Sorry, the entrepreneur came out. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Oh, a friend of mine. Oh, my battery's low.
Someone's agreeing.
I need to get my cord right here. My battery's running low.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll talk a little bit here. Can you still hear me?
Okay, we're good.
Oh, there we go.
A friend of mine wanted to do that wanted me to cook a big pot of red sauce, and do a music show and all that sort of stuff. We have to get around to it, but
Hold on a second. I'll wait till you quit fudging. We're making quite a bit of noise on the microphone.
okay.
There we go.
Anyhow, yeah, but a friend wanted to do a cooking show, and red sauce is for me. I'm not a chef. I'm a business owner and in a restaurant business, and I can do a lot of cooking, and I can boil seafood with the best of them. But red sauces, that's my personal big favorite. You know, I'll do it all day. I'll start off with Mario Lanza and Sinatra and Campari, and then wine, and I cook all day, and it's a labor of love. And I'll do that a few times a year. Take the entire day, then have all family and friends over in the afternoon and evening. So Freddie, the friend of mine who was a really good cook, he wanted to taste the red sauce. So we had with the last group we did, and showed him all kind of stuff, and he loved it. Anyway, so he wanted to do a cooking show with that, just to have some fun with it. So who knows?
Lots of options.
Right.
And what I love is you have a really good sensibility and the passion that backs it, or it backs the passion. So you've really done some amazing things. And I also wanted to mention, I think your wife also has a business, doesn't she?
Yes, she is. It's called Chemo Perfect. And she, from her time in chemotherapy, she couldn't find particular things. She's the cosmetologist. She doesn't do it professionally, but she's always had her license. She used to do it years ago. The eyelashes, the eyebrow pencils, the lipstick, the wigs, and the scarves. She couldn't find anything. She, or you would think that would be available as much as this happens. Unfortunately, she said, "I'm going to start a business when I'm done with this, and I'm going to do this for women." And so she did. It's called Chemo Perfect. And what we're doing right now is she's trying to find a way into hospitals, and she's got doctor contacts and people there's an LSU and a Tulane Cancer Center here, and she's talked with doctors there. And the difficult part about this as a business and making it work day to day financially is hospitals can't buy stuff from you privately, so we have to find a way to get this into paid for by insurance. And so that's a long haul. So that's a slow moving process and making all the right contacts. So anyhow, but the business is a wonderful thing. We have a salon here at the house. So she'll have, for instance, when you're going through chemotherapy, you don't, especially as a woman, you just don't want to let your hair fall out. So at one point, it's got to come off for the good of you. So you feel a little better about it, and you have to make that dramatic change. So she'll have them over, and she'll take all the hair off. But she would be a wonderful coach, actually. She understands, and she's so sensitive to people who do this, and she so badly wants to help.
Yeah.
And she does, and but she's so positive. Stay strong, stay positive is her motto, and that's on her business name and everything. And she just wants to make these people understand that this isn't the end. Life doesn't quit here. So you really you take a really good approach to helping people when you go through this. And that's where she's at. So, yeah. And in the meantime, she's helped a friend open this high-end outdoor furniture retail showroom, 10,000 square feet. He says, "Ellen, come work for me. And come open up the store with me." And she said, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to do that." She's got a really good taste in design and style and so forth. And wow, truly amazing. It's what people spend on outdoor furniture, you really wouldn't know. I'm like, you kidding? You'll buy a car for that. Anyway, so she's getting her creative juices out doing that, as well as trying to find all the right avenues for her business.
That's wonderful. And all I can hear is just this massive entrepreneurial spirit that just exudes from you guys both.
Really, you're right. People say, "Well, you all do motivational and helping people help themselves and so forth." And so they thought we were putting it all together for a package deal, and who knows, maybe one day that would happen.
Hey, everything's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, is there anything that you wanted to share that maybe didn't come up in our conversation before we kind of gently close?
I would say, and again, I don't want to sound like things you've heard all these years, but really seek out your passion. And I think as you get a little older, you start realizing the things that really speak to you, and always explore. Always explore. There's so many things that people, I can't do that. Buy this, it costs this much. I can't get that. Well, explore. How do you know? And things happen. And things happen for the good a lot of times when you just keep exploring. So don't ever think that it's something you can't do. Look about it, do some research, ask experts about it, go seek people who have been successful at what it is that you might want to do, and just inquire. And with technology these days, you can give yourself an education as good as a university, and without having your diploma. Because the information is available. So don't ever let yourself be limited by yourself. Keep moving.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Yeah. So if someone wanted to reach out to you around, it sounds like life, business, and everything in between, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Well, I would say probably by email, and I have my website, Darryl at CortelloLifeCoach.com, and I can be reached by email or phone 504-376-4787. That's my cell, and I take calls and emails, and I just love good conversation.
And so, since we weren't able to get your little description on the screen, would you be willing to spell that out a little bit slower? I'm sure I couldn't write it, so that's pretty fast.
Well, Darryl is Darryl, and then at Cortello, which is my last name, of course, Cortello, Life Coach. Darryl at CortelloLifeCoach.com.
Awesome. Yeah. And then the phone number again? Slow.
Area code 504-376-4787.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, it has been a delight to hang out literally with you. And, I'm really looking forward to coming to New Orleans and checking out your new restaurant.
I'll send the name as soon as I have one.
Ooh, I'd love to know. Can I ask what kind of food?
I love, and what we've always really done is what I call New Orleans neighborhood food, gumbo and shrimp po' boys and boiled crawfish, boiled shrimp, boiled crabs, stuffed artichokes. We have a good Italian community here, and so all the neighborhood restaurants usually have red sauce dish or two, which I have to have. So we'll do that. I may even go into some of the turkey, avocado, sprouts. Whole grain bread, a little of that on there, I think, just to sort of, the market changed a little bit. And so you want to be able to at least, keep your whole market, or you're a good part of that market there. And so I'll do a little of that too, I think. Still in question.
Yeah. I'm curious, has there been a lot of need for gluten-free down there yet? I know we're getting a lot of that here.
More, especially where I work now, which is a lot of breads baked and so forth, and people are really asking about it. I don't know that you really have to have it here now, especially if it's a local flavored restaurant, because we just eat that way. It's not always great, but as far as health reasons go, but everybody's gotten a lot better about that too. So I would have to say my restaurant probably would not have gluten-free until I would see the market and see how it feels, and if you really get enough requests for it, then you do it. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like what you're talking about is stay tuned, stay listening, and pay attention to what things are in the present. Again, you're still offering more wisdom, Darryl.
I didn't even know it. Wow.
I know, you're just like, wow.
Just operate unconsciously.
The fountain of Darryl.
Yeah. it's
Awesome.
all a process though. And like I said, I really learned to live in the present and, you know, appreciate the present and not necessarily live for the moment. That's kind of adventurous and you can do that, but live in the moment. Just live in the moment. And you know, I think if you really, you know, feel inside every day who you are and what you believe in, then live in the moment. That takes up pretty much what should be taken up, and that's all good stuff, you know.
Thank you again for spending time with me. This has been lovely. It's been really awesome.
It's been quite enjoyable for me. Always a pleasure, Feroshia, to talk with you. Always.
Thank you.